Hello, this is Maini. Today I am showing you an elegant and festive recipe from my chef training, Christmas Choux Pastry Swans on a crispy, no-bake Speculoos base filled with a silky Crème Mousseline. Today you will see how to make a perfect vanilla cream, how to cook choux pastry correctly, and why the swans rise beautifully in the oven. Make sure to watch until the end because there you will see the full result. Many beautiful swans that look like you spent hours creating them. As always, you can find all ingredients listed below in the video description. Before we shape the swans, we start with the cream. We begin with a classic vanilla cream, which later becomes our Crème Mousseline, the German-style buttercream. I pour the milk into a pot and add vanilla. You can either open a vanilla pod, scrape out the seeds, and add both seeds and pod to the milk, or use only the seeds and place the scraped pod into sugar to make your own vanilla sugar. In the video you can see how I heat the milk without bringing it to a boil. While the milk is warming, I prepare the egg yolk and sugar mixture. I have separated the eggs and use only the 5 yolks for the cream. I whisk the yolks until smooth, then gradually add the sugar. A little sugar, whisk well, then add the next portion. This prevents the mixture from becoming too thick. If it does become too thick, I add 1 or 2 spoonfuls of the warm milk. Now I add the starch and whisk until there are absolutely no lumps left. To prevent the eggs from curdling later, the mixture needs to be tempered. I add a little hot but not boiling milk to the yolk mixture and whisk immediately. Only then do I pour everything back into the pot with the remaining milk. We now heat everything together while stirring constantly until the cream thickens. Then I add a small piece of butter which gives flavor, shine, and a smoother texture. To cool the cream quickly, I spread it thinly onto a tray. This way it cools completely within 5 to 10 minutes. If you like, you can place plastic wrap directly onto the surface to prevent a skin from forming. While the cream cools, I whip the butter in the mixer for 5 to 8 minutes until it becomes pale and fluffy. The paler the butter becomes, the lighter the final cream will be. I then place the cooled vanilla cream into the mixing bowl and let it whip for 4 to 6 minutes. This lets the starch structure break down further and makes the cream beautifully smooth. It is important that both the butter and the vanilla cream have the same room temperature. Now I fold the butter into the cream in 3 to 4 additions. In the end you get a smooth, stable and wonderfully fragrant vanilla cream mousseline, which is perfect for filling the swans. Next we prepare the choux pastry base. For this I use milk, butter, a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar. The sugar helps the pastry develop a nice color later, and the milk adds more flavor than water. If you want to learn more about choux pastry, you can find my full tutorial in the video above. I melt the butter in the milk. As soon as the milk begins to bubble, I add all the flour at once and stir vigorously until a smooth dough forms. The dough is then cooked in the pot for 1 to 2 minutes. This step is important because it stabilizes the structure of the flour and traps steam inside the pastry later. This is what creates the classic hollow center of choux pastry. When a thin white film forms on the bottom of the pot, the dough is properly cooked. I then transfer it to a bowl and let it cool for 10 to 15 minutes. While the dough is resting, I prepare the speculoos bases. I melt butter, only melting it without cooking it, and mix it with roughly crushed speculoos cookies. Then I place a small ring onto a plate, add about 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of the mixture and press it firmly. If you do not have a fitting lid for pressing, you can use a cup or any kitchen tool with a flat bottom. This way I form several bases on baking paper. The plate then goes into the freezer so the bases become completely firm. Now the choux dough has cooled and I add the eggs one at a time. Add 1 egg, mix until fully incorporated, then add the next. This creates a smooth and slightly shiny choux dough. I place it into a piping bag. For the swan bodies, I use a large star tip. The movement is important. Apply pressure, pull slightly backward, and then pipe forward. This creates the typical shape of the swan's body. However many bodies you pipe, for example 35 to 40, you will pipe the same number of necks afterward. For the swan necks, I use a small round tip and pipe gentle curved shapes that look like small number 2 lines. Before the swans go into the oven, I spray them lightly with water. The steam keeps the surface from setting too quickly and helps them rise beautifully. For larger swans, I use a larger round tip. The technique is the same. Apply pressure and pipe forward. After baking, the swans are assembled. I cut the body horizontally and then cut the top piece in half to create the 2 wings. In the lower part you can see the hollow structure of the choux pastry. Now I add a generous spoonful of crème mousseline and assemble the swan, first the neck, then the 2 wings on the left and right. Then I take the speculoos bases out of the freezer, add a small dot of cream and place the swan gently on top. A light dusting of powdered sugar finishes everything and our Christmas choux pastry swans are ready. This recipe makes more than 30 beautiful, light and elegant swans, perfect for Christmas or any other festive occasion. If you enjoyed this recipe, feel free to leave a like, write a comment and subscribe to my channel Maini Kocht so you do not miss any future recipes. And if you want to see more Christmas ideas or dishes from my chef training, make sure to check the playlists shown in the video. They include many more techniques, classics and festive recipes.